Alright, hey guys, so this is a video that I did live on Instagram and Facebook. It was a workshop on my church painting. And I'm gonna take you step by step on how I painted this, and I'm gonna speed it up for you. So I always use a palette with green, blue, and yellow, and a lot of white, always white. And so I'm going to put a little bit of all those colors on my palette, but mainly white. And I always use my background color as a burnt sienna color. So really it's just a earthy red color. And I have my images that I'm going to follow. I have the painting that I did in the past, and then the image that I actually took of the Past Christian Church. So I always use a filbert brush, and I'm going to use my burnt sienna to put in some guidelines of where this church is going to sit, because I want to know what I'm painting, where it needs to sit on my canvas. So I'm going to start out with my guidelines, and I'm going to concentrate on just looking at the shapes that this building is making. So I'll also put my church in a little bit off center. And also my horizon line. I never want to divide my canvas in half, either where the horizon line sits or where my object is sitting. I always want it to be off centered. So now that I have a pretty good guideline and layout of what I am painting, I am going to go in with my sky. So I always work from the background forward. So I'm going to mix up my blue color with my white. I'm actually going to use my biggest brush that I have. So whenever I'm blocking in areas, I just use my biggest brush so I can block it in quickly. So I'm going to put that blue all in the sky, and then I'm going to add some white to make it look like some clouds are rolling in. And I also want to have the tops of my sky a little bit bluer, because whenever we're looking at the sky, it's always bluer up towards the top, and then it gets lighter towards the bottom. So I'm going to make that cloud kind of pop out a little bit more too. So now that the sky is pretty much done, I'm going to clean off my brush, and I'm going to go in with my grass. So I'm going to use a couple different color greens, but I'm going to start out with a mixture of my green and my yellow. And then I'm going to make brighter greens so I can show that there's light and shadows coming through this grass area. So the church is sitting on a hill, so I have that grass a little bit darker, so it kind of portrays that this is a hill coming up to the church. And I see that there's light hitting the back of the church, so the grass back there, I am adding much brighter grass. And whenever I go in with other colors, I want to have the same color in another spot somewhere on my canvas. Now I am going in with my white, and I want to leave some areas for the shadows of the church, so I'm just blocking in the shapes that I see with the white, and I'm leaving areas where I can add a shadow later on. And then I also added the stairs in right there with the sidewalk. So for the top of the church, the roof, I mixed up my burnt sienna with a little bit of blue to kind of tone it down. And then I'm gonna add some white, some highlights on the top also. And whenever I do this, I am concentrating on the shapes the entire time. So what shape is this building making? And then I'm trying to portray that. And just like before, if I add a color in one area, I'm going to add it in another area. So a little bit of the roof color is now in the grass, and that just helps your eye move around the picture plane. So for the shadows of the church, I'm mixing up my blue with a little bit of the burnt sienna, and I'm also going to add some white to it to brighten it up. So just like before, I am trying to look at the shapes that these shadows are making. And my lines that I originally made were just really quick guidelines, but now I'm able to kind of straighten them up and really make it look like a building, because a building is man-made, so there's straight lines because we don't want it to be the Leaning Tower of Pisa. So we're trying to straighten up all these lines, and I'm gonna go in with my smaller brush to just really refine these edges and these shadows and the lines and the walls of the building. Also, after you've been painting for a while, make sure you look away from your canvas. So a lot of the time you'll see me back up away from my canvas so I'm not super close to it. It just helps me see the overall painting and not every little detail that I'm putting in. So now I am mixing up a purple color. So I'm going to use purple for some of my shadows, as you can see. And I really like to use purple for some of my smaller details, and it just really helps those shadows pop. So after I refined my windows, making them lighter and darker, my Instagram video only lasted an hour, so I had to kick it off before I was completely finished with my painting. But at the very end, the only thing I finished up was the bushes around the church, and then I added a pure white on the ledge of the roof, so that just helped show that this is the ledge, and then my shadows really popped. So I'm really happy you were able to join me, and I will see you later.